find life in those businesses. Joy, happiness. The creation of them is a marvel. But of course, the trade winds come, the ships begin to flounder, and the captains have lost control, and abandoned ship, most of them, leaving the vessel rudderless, heading for the rocks. And so they head and they smash against the rocks. And you know, people's lives are so often made shipwreck by the things that they do, wrong, deliberately wrong, willfully wrong. Yeah. That's why these creatures, of course, were separated from the rest of the sea, because they were a body all of their own within the industry or industries of this world. The world recognises that a portion, a metaphorical portion, shall fail within the first year. You see, even the world recognises metaphorical terms, metaphorical measures, metaphorical days and nights and so on and so forth. They recognise it. We should be the first ones to recognise it. And they only recognise it out there because we in the past have recognised it and taught the world to recognise it. Remember, the Reformation, Christian Reformation, taught the world a new language, or rather improved the language, enriched the language of this world. Yes, the Church of Jesus Christ enriched the language of this world, the ways of this world, and the remnant of what then was brought to the minds of people. There's still remnants going on. Still a quarter, a third of industry says industry will fail. In verse 10, and the third angel sounded, and there fell a great star from heaven. A great star from heaven. We're still in the fall here. We're still in the fall. This is all coming out as a result of the fall. When the fall occurred, everything that was associated with the fall was seen. It's here seen. Future. As though the future were present, and so on and so forth. It was there. If we were to go to Adam and read the mind of Adam, we would see all this to the end of time. We'd see this. As it is, John is seeing the mind of God, and it is being narrated to him. But this is the consequences of the fall. And it is so steadfast, so fixed, that it can be spoken as in the past, as much as in other chapters in the future. The fall of mankind, as we began with, is from chapter 5 onwards. In fact, if you go from 1 to 4, it's there. If you go from Genesis chapter 1, or rather Genesis chapter 3, to Revelation chapter 22, the fall is there. It's present. And so is justification, in the background, in the midst. In the midst. Even as she was in the midst. The church of Jesus Christ, Christianity, revealed religion, the one justified true people of God, the elect of God, the precious of God, those decreed of God to be saved, the true sheep of God, of God's pasture. They were in the midst of the old dispensation, now old, alright, in its time, new. They were there in the midst, sitting there in the midst of Judaism, that blasphemy, that heresy, rather, of Judaism. And what sits in the midst of this world today? This world of secularism? The Church of Jesus Christ. She's still there. She's still there. There's no condemnation to her and her children that make her to be her, Zion, New Jerusalem, the bride of Christ. That's how it is. We're not justified. We're not condemned. At all. And we come to verse 10 as we said, and the third angel sounded, and there fell a great star from heaven. Now the star, of course, great star, who is this great star that fell from heaven? From a heavenly plane. Behind the veil. Who was it? It was Lucifer, son of the morning. Lucifer was the great star. And he drew a third part of heaven with him. Enticed them, influenced them. But of course they were ready to be influenced. They just needed a leader. They just needed a leader. He fell as a star from heaven. You know, when Jerusalem was being invaded, or surrounded rather, encamped against by the Roman imperial forces of all nations that made up the forces of imperial Rome, the stars are said to fall from heaven to the earth. Here is a star, the devil. Here is another star, who is the angel of the covenant, Jesus Christ, the only begotten Son of God. The bright and morning star. He is the star. He is the true star of heaven. He is the only true star. The star of David, the star of God, the star and the angel of the covenant. And he didn't fall. Only the devil fell. Fell from his first station. Jesus Christ ascended. He simply came down from above. The devil was kicked out. Chapter 9, we find this equally repeated. And the fifth angel sounded, and I saw a star fall from heaven onto the earth. It's repeated again. But in this context, we have here, because in chapter 9, we have the star, the devil, associated with all deceivableness and deceptiveness in this world. As we have seen in another video. As we see here, explained in another video. Here, the context is of a false teacher. Let's read it again, part of it. Well, all of it this time. And the third angel sounded, and there fell a great star from heaven, burning as it were a lamp. And it fell upon the third part of the rivers and upon the fountain of waters, burning as a lamp. A lamp of instruction, a light of instruction, a light to the way. Burning. What do we get in neo-evangelical circles? Oh, that man's on fire for God. He's a heretic. He's a heretic. Oh, he's burning. He's a burning and shining light for God. So he's of the devil. Here, he's of the devil. Here it is. And you know, people are enticed by the personalities of others, offering them what they want to hear. Yeah, the Buddhists. Oh, it's wonderful. He's a man of wisdom, of teaching, of learning. It's a false star. It's a false lamp. It's false instruction. It's a false light. As much as so many are not just false lights. Alright? But false fires. They are vociferous, energetic, on fire for God. Do you know, every time I hear that from the neo-evangelicals, oh, he's on fire for God, they're mocking. I take it as they're mocking the martyrs of Mary. The martyrs of God that were set alight, burnt at the stake, faggots put around them, tar with so many above their heads, boiling tar. And of course, towards the last stage, there was also explosives to blow them up. They were on fire for God. And where did the star fall? Where was it that the star fell? Upon the third part of the rivers and upon the fountains of waters. You see, a third part of the rivers and a third part of the fountains of the waters of mankind are what? The streams of instruction. The fountains of wisdom and knowledge. Totally corrupted. Utterly corrupted. The streams and the fountains that should be pure, as they are pure with us in our kingdom. The river of the water of life flows through it. The wells of salvation are there. We have the pure water of life flowing in us and through us. And the more we partake of the scriptures and understand the scriptures, the more light we are in the Lord, and the more understanding we have in the Lord, the more we're growing in grace and knowledge of God, the more heavenly we become, more expressively heavenly we become. Our words are the words befitting heaven. When we speak to people and people say that man over there is sick, and we say, well, he needs to go to the doctors. No, he's sick, you know what I mean? And we say no. Clearly, from what we can see, he is either physically sick or he's just evil. And they don't know the term evil. Don't know the term wicked, except as they twist it to be a good thing. Pernicious, they don't know. Unrighteous, they don't know. They don't know the heavenly terms. They've been lost to this generation. Been lost. Like so much of the words that used to be in vogue naturally. Sinful has been lost. That man over there is sinful. What do you mean sinful? The measure of a nation, the spiritual measure of a nation and prosperity of a nation can be measured by the words that it uses. Alright, let's get back to verse 10. And the third angel sounded, and there fell a great star fall from heaven, burning as it were a lamp. Ah, yes. Yes, and it fell upon the third part of the rivers and fountains of waters. Not everybody is taken in, you see, by these tricksters of the devil. Because it directly comes from the devil. Directly. Here, directly from the wicked one. And now, of course, people will turn around in this world and go, oh, why on earth is he following that? Why on earth? Oh, do you know, hey, they've gone into the Moonies, they've gone into the JWs. Oh, they've gone into this crossing the legs business and trying to float on mats. You know, why do people believe this and why do people believe that? Because the streams of the thought and the wells that should be pure are not so. And of course, the people love to have it so. Verse 11. And the name of the star is called Wormwood. And the third part of the waters became wormwood. Bitter. Aye, bitter. And many men died of the waters because they were made bitter. Many men. Doesn't exclude women. This isn't literal men. Many men. In other words, mankind. Man, you see, was the head of mankind. Adam, the father and federal head of mankind. These persons within the world, within societies, became bitter. And it's one after another, age after age after age, generation after generation after generation shares with this. As one generation passes on the heels of another that come into being, they suffer this. This is all out of the fall. The fall of mankind and the fall of the devil. The devil fell first and they encouraged man to fall second. The devil must have the preeminence all the time. Mustn't he? Oh, even in the fall, he must set himself as the preeminent one to fall. And to encourage disciples after him. They became bitter. You know, at the end of the day, when people have followed a wrong track, a wrong road, it's all pleasant at first. Oh, he's a wonderful man, and this is a wonderful teaching, and this is wonderful, and wonderful, it's all smiles and glee, and yet they're behind all that, they're still sad. They're still saddened because it cannot feed the soul. It cannot feed the soul of their world. Their world is burnt up. And their world is black. And it's despair. It's dark. It's lonely. It's cold. Their world, their kingdom that they reside in, that they were born in, that sinful world, that spiritual world, That world that goes beyond this world out here. And you know, at the end of the day, when they've gone along with these teachings and these men, there comes a time, it's as though it's overnight. Another metaphor, another heavenly metaphor, of which the world uses. It's as though overnight, suddenly, it's as though they wake up and they find what they followed is a great disappointment. And they realise that all the time that they've spent with this falsehood, this fake teaching, this false teaching, this corrupt teaching, is wasted. And they become bitter. Bitter. Naturally so. Look at the time I've wasted. Look at the money I've wasted. Look at what I've done. It's bitter. It's like the man or woman that allows a stranger into the house. A stranger who says he's from the utility company, he's come to check the gas or the electricity. And he's got his friend with him, a trainee. And can the trainee use your WC? Oh yes. All pleasant, all smiles, all round, smiles, pleasant. Everybody's getting on cordially. And then the fella leaves and the lad leads. And then 20 minutes later, the householder is on the phone to the police and he's in a bitter state, a dreadful state. And he wishes death would consume him. Awful state. He's been robbed. He's been robbed.